It's important because in UP we say जेब में नहीं पत्ता चल दिया कलकत्ता. This is financial viability, meaning thereby that for an idea to fructify, you have to have money in your pocket, no? How do you make an idea happen, even if it is politically acceptable, socially desirable, technologically feasible, but you don't have the money? Look at a wonderful, wonderful national education policy. It's one of the finest documents that I've seen. It covers all aspects of education. But what is the problem there? Dr. Kasturi Rangan and his team very conveniently said that for doing what we said, you have to allocate 6% of the GDP to education sector. No, he said and he's gone. And he's gone because he doesn't have to implement it. Where is the money for that? Where is 6%? The highest allocation to education since independence has been 3.1%. And I don't see even that happening now. Because, government has its limitations. The government has its problems. Now, you can't say that I have these list of ideas and for this so much money is required. It's your problem. Money can't be a problem of the person who's receiving the idea. I think money should be a problem of person who's giving the idea also. He should be able to suggest where is the money going to come from. And let me give you an example here. And I'm not saying all the money could have come. When Dr. Kasturi Rangan came to meet me and I was education secretary, school education secretary, and he asked me for my suggestion, I jokingly and half seriously told him that you are wasting your time. He said, why? You all have set up this committee. I said, you will come up with a fantastic report without telling us how to do it. I told him, along with this policy, you must have the following. Number one, what is the problem? How it can be solved? Who would do it? By when it would be done? When you have a detailed action plan along with a policy, which should be mandated for every policy, you will understand the limitations of that policy. So had Dr. Kasturi Rangan and his team gone into the details of this education policy on how it will be implemented and who will implement it, they would have discovered from each segment how much money would be required. At least they would have worked out some approximate number, and then they would have worried about where is this money going to come from, rather than merely telling the government that you arrange for the money, that's not my problem, that's your problem. It can't be that way. And one reason why most of the policies or large number of policies flounder in India is the policy makers are not tasked to implement that policy. Obviously, they can't be tasked, but they can have the vision to understand as to how that policy will be implemented so that their suggestions could be more implementable. Obviously, they can give some ideas beyond implementation also, but that segregation has to be made. Another point. Now, if I know that I do not have 6% of the GDP as desired by the policymakers, then I would say, okay, if I have 5%, these are my priorities. If I have 4%, these are my priorities. If I have 3%, these are my priorities. If I have 2%, you can then say that if so much money is available, these are critical aspects of the policy, they should be implemented. I'll give you another example. I'm going to the details of this because I feel that a wonderful national education policy, and many states are struggling with it because they don't have the money to do it. There are certain aspects of the education policy which do not require so much money, and they're very critical in nature. For example, the whole issue of teachers. The suggestions given by the policymakers in the national education policy relating to teachers do not require too much investment. In fact, that should have been the first top priority. I was convinced, and I'm not an educationist, I just had some experience, that teachers are pivotal to school education in this country. I don't know about higher education. If we take care of problems relating to teachers, which they can be, then a lot of improvement can come about in education. And mind you, the suggestions given by the policymakers in the national education policy are such relating to teachers that they would not require so much money. The point that I'm trying to illustrate here is, it is not that money should upfront become available, but we should have that at the back of my mind when we provide suggestions. That's how things happen in the government. Otherwise, there will be brilliant ideas sitting somewhere and things will not happen in the government. So the policymakers have to work in tandem and they have to be realistic in terms of where and how to. I'll give you an example how they could have possibly suggested more money for education. Government will already be strapped for money, but there was an occasion where, in my personal view, and many people disagree with me, that why have this double standard towards private education? Why can't we encourage private schools? Why can't we allow profit in private schools and tax it? In any case, I am aware that a number of private schools are making profit. They're not showing us profit. My contention was allow them to make profit and tax it. At least you'll get some more money. to pump in areas that you can, and so on and so forth. You can have other suggestions. So this is as far as the financial viability is concerned. That's the point I'm trying to make here.